Hello and welcome to Political Bazaar. It's around four. It's for a little past 4:15. The results are more or less in. In Maharashtra, the BJP Shiv Sena combined look comfortably placed to form the next government. In Haryana, it's still a cliffhanger with no party winning, crossing the halfway mark. To discuss this, especially the macro picture today, with me I have my colleague Gaurav Chaudhary. Thank you, Gaurav, for coming on Political Bazaar. Let's look at a couple of the fine splicing. All is going to be done as to where it goes, how the vote share goes. But let's look at the macro picture. What do you think were the main issues that government or parties did not discuss this time?
So there are two approaches that we can look this at. One is obviously what happened during the Lok Sabha election, which was just about 6 months ago.
6 months ago.
And in 6 months ago, if you take Haryana for instance, 6 months ago, the kind of number of seats that the BJP won in Lok Sabha and the number of vote share that they had should have translated into 79 seats. Assembly seats. It's not even less than that at this point. It's less than half of that at this point in time. And what went wrong? Clearly, this is a pattern that is emerging, and the first sign of this probably we saw in the Lok Sabha election itself, and when assembly elections took place along with Lok Sabha election. Pick up Orissa, for instance. BJP did considerably well in the Lok Sabha seats there, but Navin Patnaik like BJD went on to form the government, and the same people voted for a different party in Lok Sabha and actually showed their in favor of the BJP so far as Lok Sabha is concerned. So people are now want local issues to be separate from national issues. That is one thing that comes out of it. But the other thing here clearly is that my assessment of this whole results is that the impact of the economic slump is showing up in his assembly results.
Let's come to the economic slump in a while, but before that I just want to ask, and we have talked about this, one of the issues the BJP spoke about in the elections was the NRC.
Yes.
In Haryana. Do you think that did not really strike a chord?
No, it cannot, because the question of illegal migrants, taking away jobs or becoming an economic or a political pressure point is not as potent in a state like Haryana as much as it is in the eastern states.
Eastern states.
There are not so many allegedly illegal Bangladeshi migrants in Haryana as they are. You find in millions in Assam and Bengal. So that is not a problem. I think that was one tactical mistake to make that issue. But what is surprising is that despite raking up the issue of Article 370, and Haryana, as we know, is a big catchment area for the armed forces recruitment, that did not strike a chord in the sense that while it may have struck a chord among people there, it did not translate into votes. If you go through the disaggregated seats where the BJP did not do well, it appears now that this is a Jat consolidation of Jat votes against the non-Jat votes in the state of Haryana. And that was something that the BJP should probably have factored in when they drew up the strategy for Haryana elections.
Is it safe to say that national issues, especially defense policy and foreign affairs, does matter when it comes to a Lok Sabha, at the Lok Sabha level, but when you look at the state polls, these do not have the kind of resonance they would have otherwise?
These results appear to, point out to that kind of a pattern, and as I said, despite the fact that Article 370, which is very sensitive for the armed forces, and Haryana is a major catchment area for armed forces recruitment, that did not translate into votes. It might still happen that that's an extremely sensitive issue there, and people support the move that the government had gone ahead and abrogated Article 370. But that it does not necessarily mean that people will go out and vote in favor of BJP, because the BJP ruled government has actually gone ahead and abrogated Article 370. So there are local issues there. There are local political configurations that need to be factored in, and I think the BJP actually fell short on that.
Let's look at Maharashtra. In Western Maharashtra and Vidarbha, the party has not done as well as, in fact, in Western Maharashtra, it's done poorer than the Congress. So do you think the BJP at some point did not understand or address the concerns of the people, especially the agrarian concerns?
Looks like, and if you look at the way, one would have assumed that a lot of Shiva Sena votes would have transferred into the BJP. That doesn't seem to have happened, because the BJP will just about get about 100 seats, or slightly more than that, compared to 122 in 2014. BJP would assume that they would anyway better than 122 because of the unity in alliance and the vote transfer happening. That did not seem to have happened. And the reason is, and please also remember that Maharashtra, Mumbai is the financial capital of India, and Maharashtra is a highly industrialized state. So agrarian distress and what is happening in the overall macro broader economy seem to have taken a toll on BJP.
When we speak about that, the results come at a day when the ease of doing business index has also come out, and India's place has jumped quite a few notches. But the point is, do you think this is at one level you can see that what the government is doing is paying off? Actually, the indices are actually improving, but ground situation, economic slowdown, is there a mismatch?
No, I would not think so. I don't think there is a mismatch there. What the government is trying to do, ease of doing business, we should separate it from what is happening in the broader economy. Ease of doing business is more about removing bureaucratic red tape.
In that sense,
it is about making procedures far simpler and making India a preferred business destination. That doesn't mean that jobs are being created to the extent that it needs to be created. That doesn't mean that agrarian distress is being addressed, and that doesn't mean that investment is taking place because India has become an easier place to do business in. Because investment will take place when there is a commercial or business opportunity. Investment will take place in a situation or in a context where there is there's enough demand for products and services, and companies will be forced or prompted rather to add additional capacity lines and hire more only when they see that they can make a commercial opportunity out of it. At this point in time, all those conditions are lacking, not necessarily because of domestic reasons, because the world economy is going through a severely shaky situation. But that said, it has all come together at the wrong time for the BJP, and all the rough edges have come off in a manner that it has affected their results. They will still form the government, but they would not be happy with this.
If the BJP or if the government were to ask you a prescription, as a person who keenly follows markets and the economy, what would be your suggestion? Yes, they are going to form the government, and they might also do it in Haryana. It's not yet known, but in Maharashtra, definitely the BJP, Shiv Sena combined is forming the government. They have the numbers. What would be your prescription?
So I would now, if I were to advise the government, I would say, there are two things that the government can do. One, the BJP forms the government at the state level. They form the state government. So they do something specific to the state. And two, they do something at the central level which brings about positive disruption in the entire national economy. But at this point, now is the time for the governments, both at the center and the state, to go for broke. They have to do something which is shockingly, and it has to be in the form of a policy shock, which is positively disruptive and entirely unexpected. Because what it will do is, such kind of a move is going to boost sentiment, and sentiments for the business community is a very critical, intangible factor for pushing up investment. The government has to demonstrate its intent to walk the talk and take the lessons that has come out of these elections, that economy is something that the government cannot ignore, and it also has to, one big lesson from all of this is that Article 370 or nationalism, every issue has a stage of diminishing returns. And probably, at least in state elections, these issues have hit that stage of diminishing returns. Fatigue would have set in so far as these issues are concerned. You can only milk issues up to a certain point. So the government will have to ensure that their new issues are exploited, new issues are brought about which they can exploit politically. But these issues, I would assume, would now have to come more from the economic front rather than the social front, political front.
Gaurav has actually very succinctly comprised the whole thing. The government should not ignore the sentiments of the people. A positive shock is what is required so that the economy can boost, and the government should walk the talk when it comes to actually improving the economy and the livelihood of the people. For more news and updates, stay tuned to moneycontrol.com.